Okay, so let's see it in this way. Both the method system and the rule of success is the way that we apply to our shots in order to get the proper delivery of information that is genuine and that is fresh and unique and different. Let's say that this is the deep aspect of our shot, it's implicit. The appeal instead is the surface of all that part, is how we present of our poses, how do they look. It's actually the key to sell our ideas to our supervisor, leads and directors. That's why it's very important that we make sure that all our poses have a lot of appeal in order to success with our shots. But before we know how to apply appeal in a proper way, let's first explore what means appeal. Appeal, basically speaking, is beauty. And the concept of beauty has changed a lot through the years. It's actually a concept that is attached to the culture and has changed a lot through history, and depends on what time of history and where are you at in this world. That concept of beauty is gonna change a lot. So let's say in another way, because we could actually spend a lot of time talking about this matter for lots of hours. Beauty is like an external stimulation that creates on us some sort of pleasure feeling or emotion. And you can see that how in animation, the appeal or the beauty, what it does is to generate on us those kind of positive emotions, as you know, as laughter, fun, entertaining, right? That's what we are looking for. The other thing that we should know is that appeal is a subjective concept. Each person, each artist has a different concept of what means or what is beautiful or what is appealing or not. So if the concept of beauty is something that is subjective, what is it that we have to do in order to apply it properly? First, we have to learn it by observation. That's why I always recommend to surround ourselves with everything that we consider there is appealing in this time of the moment. We have to understand more or less what are the guidelines of what is considered appealing today, and make sure that it's close to our eye. So unconsciously, let's say we are putting all that information in the back of our mind, and we are raising our bar of what is understanding or what we understand as appeal by just having that kind of passive study around us. The second thing that we have to do again is copy, 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 and copy. Observing is very important, definitely, but if we imitate, if we, let's say, mimic what we see, or if we copy what we see, those poses that are already considered to have a lot of appeal is going to be very good for us, and the best way for us to really learning what is appeal. So what we are trying to do here is try to imprint by this process of observation and copy. We already mentioned about this, we talked about this before, is to imprint all these concepts of appeal in our unconscious. So what we do is we surround ourselves with all these references. We can do thumbnailing, 2D animation, anything that takes those surrounders or those appealing references to our brain and then to our hand, in order to really understand why things works in an appealing way. And also what we can do if we want, or if we have the chance, is to copy those appealing poses into our scene in 3D already. So either both way works very good. The thing is that we reproduce whatever we are taking references from. This is one of the reasons of why I'm giving you toy at the same time I'm doing my shot. True, you may not be practicing what is the process of coming out with ideas and the method itself, but that is something that I'm trusting that you guys are going either way. But I found that also we have some lack of really understanding and putting like a lot of time to really do appealing poses, and really taking the time to spend a lot of time with the creative part of the process of posing. So that's why, as I was saying, I give you toy and you use it to copy at the same time I do the shot, so you can really help yourself to get all that information of appealing and workflow and how does that posing process works in the 3D scene and in the 3D character. So as I mentioned before, the point of all is learning by observation and imitating what's already being considered today as appealing. So here I'm going to share with you some of the main references that I consider today are, let's say, the main references in the animation industry for appealing. Some of these artists are very well known and are behind the production design of many of the shows, many of the shows. So that's why I recommend you to get familiar with all these artists and copy and print and everything that I was saying before is very highly recommended with any of these artists. Milcal is one of the main references that we have in the industry because of his work overall on hand gestures. He was one of the 9 old men, and many would say that he was the most talented one. So if you look in Pinterest for his hand gestures, you're gonna see like lots of compilation of all his work, overall what he did in Merlin, in the Sword and the Stone, movies from the 60s, I believe. Jim Kim, overall for facial expressions, he is today the main character designer at Disney. He is definitely being very influenced by Glenn Keane, but he's now, let's say, we can say that he's a little bit more clean, more clear. Glenn Keane is a little bit more spontaneous and more rough. Jim Keane, he's a guy who's been developing all the, let's say, all the gestures in a more clean way, so it can be all the work for design more clearly put into 3D. Sergio Pablos, which used to be one of the animation supervisors at Disney, now he has Spa Studios, and he's behind many designs of the latest 3D movies, like for example Rio. His work is also very good, and you can see that how all the industry is highly influenced by his style. That again comes from Disney. Carlos Grangel, or the Grangel Studios, is one of the main designers behind most of, I would say, all the movies from DreamWorks. So it's also very interesting to have it close. Not just for facial, he has a very interesting and very nice looking facial stuff, but he also pays like a lot of attention in body designs, body shapes, body lines, which is pretty good to also have pretty close. Craig Kelman is one of those guys who now is being very well known since Sony Pictures is now making a little bit more mainstream the cartoon style into 3D. So he is behind, for example, OTLT, Clouded with a Chance of Meatballs. He used to be working with Gandhi Tartakovsky for many years too. So his sense of graphic design behind the character design is pretty strong. Expressivity is super strong, so that's something that is very good to also have close. Of course, James Baxter, one of the most classic 2D animators that was working for DreamWorks for many years. I believe he also worked for Disney for some years. But yeah, something to look at. And of course, Glenn Keane is also like a very big reference to also. But as you can see, he's more 2D, he's more rough. Is from another era, let's say like that. But we can see that all the previous references that I gave you before are highly related or close to what all the work that Glen Keane did, which at the same time, it's Glen Keane also comes from all, he drank from all the Nine Old Men and everything that happened in the 80s and 70s. Beyond this, you're gonna see in the handbook that there is lots of movies to look at that I recommend you to go through because they have a highly sense of opinion in all of them. Please don't take this as films to watch as film quality recommendation. Rather, these are more recommendations for you to study appeal itself and the sense of appeal. One of the best ways that you can do definitely for learning animation is just to spend hours looking at the shots frame forward, frame backward, right? You can hear that sound as I keep looking at the shot. This is my keyboard and this is what I've been doing for years and years and years in order to learn animation, which is spending hours just seeing how not just studying and trying to get used to the appeal itself, but also to see how the different parts of the body relate, how is the animation done at the frame, right? So my recommendation for you definitely is to get those films and those particular shots that catch your attention and that you see that have like a lot of appeal or some dynamic movement that you like, and use any of these tools that allow you to go through the video frame by frame. I'm using Sync Sketch, which is pretty convenient. I think I already introduced this to you guys because you also can take notes and all that. But if not, if you just are looking for something to look at things frame by frame, QuickTime has the possibility to do that as well. So spend as much time as you can just looking at the shots, just looking at reels that you like, frame backward. This is, to me, this is actually what I spent the most time learning animation many years ago, just looking at shots frame by frame.